Good evening. This is ENCA Moneyline, your money guide. My name is Sikim Kabadeli. Coming up on the show tonight. Telkom gets lost in transmission as its fixed line business continues its downward trend. Calls by disgruntled union leaders to have a union to rival COSATU are gathering momentum, but what is the role of a union in the South African business context today? And are you in search of a financial advisor? We'll find out how you can go about choosing one tonight. All that more and more coming up, but first, your top stories. Telkom's fixed line revenue has continued its downward trend. That part of its business fell 12% in the first 6 months of its financial year. Total revenue for the parastatal was also lower. Telkom CEO Sipho Maseko says that significant challenges lie ahead for the next 6 months. The company has had to lower its pricing significantly due to greater competition. It's also shifting its focus to data, where revenue rose almost 40%. Telkom and MTN are currently in talks to extend their roaming agreement, which will increase their footprint and help charge lower prices. Doing bulk shopping may become even easier very soon. Retail giant Makro is planning a click-and-collect shopping service for its customers. Makro shoppers will be able to collect their online orders at Sasol petrol stations, forecourts across South Africa. The service adds to the home delivery and in-store click-and-collect services that have already been offered by the Massmart-owned store. Online shopping in South Africa is not as advanced as in other parts of the world. Delivery, logistic problems and slow and expensive broadband are the major constraints. Almost a third of Makro's new customers transact online. Well, disgruntled union leaders are working to form a new federation after the expulsion of NUMSA, which was COSATU's largest affiliate. But our question is, how big a role do unions play in the business world, and how big a role should they play? Joining us in studio now is Labour analyst Mamokgethi Mulupiane. Thank you so much, Mamokgethi, for your time today. Are unions in trouble in South Africa?
Within the current situation, yes. If you recall, in 2010, those who are analyzing labor raised the issues that if the current trajectory is going to be a trend within unions where they are removed from the issues that workers are raising, then they will face a challenging time, and perhaps they will be in trouble as they are, for they would have lost relevance to what is the real reason for their existence. Two, they would have lost relevance within the constituency as in their members as to what are they really doing. And three, they would be caught up in battles and fight about power and about self-enrichment and making progress for the individual and instead of the collective.
And then if one looks at some data that came out from Statistics South Africa that says actually union membership has been on a decline or a downward trend at least for years. Its peak was at around 1997, and we're sitting with about 3.2 million unionized workers in South Africa today, much less than the number of people that are in employment. So what have they done wrong over the years?
They have moved away from the actual issues of workers. We have seen different kinds of unionism flourish. We have seen business unionism. We have seen step ladder, so to speak, unionism, where people use union position to climb to much better, greater wages and position in life. But more importantly, those who are currently selected have divorced themselves from the ideology that it should be shared with their members, where the members are saying these are the key issues that are affecting us. Those that have ascended to power are no longer relating to that, for they are no longer affecting them. They have become a different LSM, so to speak, within the scale of South African LSMs. And so there's a disconnection. And in that disconnection, they haven't found a way of fixing it. A key issue, of course, is organizational weakness internally, where issues of workers that were really meant to be raised internally are no longer raised, even if they would say today they are in a democratic way. They are raised from a top down to workers, where workers usually would raise issues and take them to the leadership.
So if that's the case, do we need them?
We do. I mean, this is one of the many things that our constitution allows us. If you remember, previously workers couldn't organize freely, and also workplace was filled with discrimination and so forth. So they have played a significant role within shaping the labor policy, the Labor Relations Act. It's enshrined in the NEDLAC that unions can engage, workers can engage through unions. I have always said that unions that are going to be relevant moving forward from now on are not just going to be unions that organize only workers, but are going to be those that speaks to people who are not employed, those that speaks to people in the community who felt they are not well served. And for them to remain relevant in today's South African context, they have either to reinvent or come up with a different strategy of how they are going to approach issues of equality, because it's just not about wages.
And finally, and very quickly, do we have the leadership to do that?
No, we don't.
All right, we'll leave it there. Labor analyst Mamokgethi Molopiane. Now, Japan's economy is on its knees after data shows that it's slipped into recession. It unexpectedly shrank for a second consecutive quarter. GDP fell at an annualized 1.6% in the third quarter. That's compared with forecasts of a 2.1% increase.
A sales tax increase has plunged the Japanese economy into recession, forcing Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to delay yet another increase in tariffs. Gross domestic product fell an annualized 1.6% in the 3 months of September after it plunged 7.3% in the second quarter. Officials from the land of the rising sun were going to use the third quarter stats as a measure of whether to press ahead with yet another sales tax increase.
We think there is a need to continue monitoring the economy closely, and we will take the necessary steps based on this.
The world's third largest economy has been forecast to rebound by 2.1% in the third quarter, but consumption and exports remained weak, burdening companies with huge inventories to work off.
We're not even close to reaching the 2% inflation target set by the Bank of Japan, so we're still midway through, and the deflationary mindset has still not been eradicated.
The downturn is expected to force the Prime Minister into a snap election halfway through his term, which ruling party lawmakers expect to be held on December 14.
And after the break, we take a look at what you need to know before choosing a financial advisor. You're watching ENCA Moneyline, your money guide. Stay with us.